Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Inner Health Project. My name is Chris Angel, your co-host, here with Hannah Getty, your host. Hello, Hannah.
Hello, Chris.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for visiting with me again for another episode. I think your topics today are super relevant to our environment today, and I think they're really important. So give me the topic for this episode.
So this topic is, how do you show love in your life? How do you show love to yourself? And I think it's a really important question. It was posed to me, and I gave it a lot of thought, and what came out, what I uncovered, I thought should be shared.
I love it. Can you share what you like? What happened in that? What came out or what you saw?
Yeah. So one of the first things that I realized was to set boundaries. I know this doesn't sound, it's like a weird thing to start with, but setting boundaries for yourself and others, because if you can't say no to some things, then you're going to run yourself ragged. You're always going to be pushing yourself for other people instead of actually taking the time and just really discovering what's going to work the best for you. And if you're coming from a place where you're spread thin, you can't really do the best job anyway.
Yeah.
For people.
I think that's if we were talking about what the symptoms of the day are, or the problems that I think we find ourselves in Western culture of busy, showing love for yourself starts to become, there's different part of it is about productivity. Like if you're not really taking care of you and loving you, then who you show up as and you being productive kind of gets sabotaged. Like you don't get to be the best version of yourself to produce. But I also think that happens in terms of your relationships and how you feel about yourself and how much you enjoy your life right now. There's just a lot of unhappy people.
Yeah. And I think I know I have felt this in the past, that if I say no to somebody, that means that I'm being selfish or I don't care about them. But you have to put yourself first, because you love yourself first and then you love others. So the way you treat yourself is the way you're going to treat other people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. It's good. And if you guys want to listen, and those of you listening to this want to go back and listen to our episode on self-care, well, that'd be a great episode, right? Like Impactful Self-Care was the episode where we get more into that. But I'm interested in your perspectives, Hannah, about showing love for yourself. Like one of the things we've talked about is love is abundant, not scarce. But take me through some of your perspectives that you have around showing love for yourself.
Well, when you choose love, that is abundant, but the opposite of that would be fear. So if you're very fearful to say no, or you're very fearful to say, I can't work overtime anymore because it's just draining on my life.
Right.
You're coming from a place of scarcity because you're afraid that you're going to lose your job, because you're not standing up for yourself and you're not speaking what you need to say, and you're not saying no and setting those boundaries. So whatever consequences come of that, you have no control over that, but at least you said what you needed to say, and you are putting that boundary there. That
might be the very bottleneck of this whole conversation about showing love for ourselves, because there is this whole I am spinning a bunch of plates in life. I'm trying to be responsible, have bills to pay. I have people are depending on me. Mm-hmm. And for me, in the middle of all of that, to say, I'm going to start loving myself, and I'm going to say no to my job because I've had it up to here with my job or whatever.
Right.
Super scary. I'm not sure I can commit to that.
Well, yeah, that's what happened to me. I talked in the first episode about how I got started in massage, and I was working in a job 60 hours a week, and I finally said, I can't do overtime anymore. And they let me go. But that led me down the path that I'm at now. So when one door closes, another one will open. It's just, you have to take that first step, and you have to love yourself and let fear go. Yeah.
I think the thing that's coming up for me in this conversation that I didn't expect is how much of a role courage plays in love, like in loving yourself and loving others. Like there is this element that you don't know what's going to happen, right? Like if you decide to quit your job, and like you did, you didn't know what would happen, but that took a lot of courage for you to say yes to you and no to the thing that didn't feel good to you. And you didn't have all the answers figured out. All the lights weren't green down the road. Like you just, with your courage, stepped into what was next.
Right. And I could have been fired the next day, regardless of speaking my mind. You know, that I think we kind of have a false sense of security at times, because we think that we're in a job or wherever we're at, we think it's always going to be the same. But I've learned in life is constantly changing all the time. Yeah. So why don't you let it change in your favor? Why don't you speak what you put out there, what you want, and things will show up for you in that way, because you're loving yourself first. Yeah. And you can sit there and you can give and give and give to people, but then you won't have anything else left for yourself. And it's great to help others, but if you're helping people at your own expense, then that just becomes so draining, and you can't do a good job for others, and you can't be present for yourself.
I think also, I so agree. And I think there's an element of, I feel like we've talked about this in the past, but like there's a level of honesty with yourself about what's not working. It'd be when it's scary or risky to like move on from a job, let's say, that seems to be our example right now, but there's a job that's not working for you. You know, it's not working for you. It's very hard for you to get honest about it not working for you, because on the other side of that is you having to confront all the unknown and the fear and the what's like, well, then what? Right.
But I mean, that can lead us to expectations, right? We all, I think, are brought up with a certain amount of expectations. Like, you're supposed to be this way in society. You expected to do this at your job. I mean, right, we have expectations for a reason, but when those expectations get in the way of you enjoying the journey, then how can you be present? How can you actually enjoy life if all you're seeking out is that ending, that end goal? I need my paycheck at the end of the week, but you're not enjoying that whole week. What kind of life are you living? And what kind of love are you showing toward yourself if all you're doing is waiting till the end to go somewhere else?
Right. It makes me wonder, like, what are some of the steps? So if I think about, let's say that people listening to this go, okay, I get it. I need to be more honest about what's not working for me. I also need to find my courage to take steps in the direction of honoring what I want for me, and not just being responsible or living up to expectations. So where do I start? That's a big task. So where do I start?
Right. Well, I think check into how you feel about whatever situation you're in, or say somebody asks you to do something, right? And right away you don't want to, but then maybe you feel guilty, or you feel like obligated to say yes. I mean, if you set up the right boundaries, you'll say no because it doesn't feel right, or it's just not the right time for you to say yes. And when you say no to things, somebody told me this, you're able to say yes to other things. So we can flip that around, and saying no to something does not mean it's negative. It's just allowing you to say yes to something else.
Got it. Yeah. So part of that action then would be start noticing where you really want to say no to something and then you actually say yes because you don't want to let somebody down, or you don't want to look bad, or you don't want to be that person who didn't come to the family event, or
Right.
whatever, right? So
Yeah.
notice.
Yeah. You could look at it like, say it was a complete stranger. You didn't care about the outcome or the expectations.
Yeah.
What's your quick answer to that question?
Right. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. So just go with your gut feeling. Like, you just tune into that. And if it feels uncomfortable, if it's not like it doesn't feel exciting to you, or you don't feel like you authentically can do this, then maybe it's a good time to say no and put up some boundaries.
I wonder too if people will start to, like for me, I've had this in different parts of life over the years. Gosh, even recently, I would say, which is weird because I feel like I've done a lot of self-work. But if I think about, I was in a program where one of the assignments was to go on a date with yourself, right? So we talk about date your wife, date your kids, and then go on a date with yourself. I'm like, okay. But then I was like, well, what am I going to do? Like, what do I even like? Like, I'm so into personal development and business that I just kind of like all my free time tends to go there. Mm-hmm. And when I think about like, what other things do I actually enjoy? I was like, wow, I actually don't know. This is really embarrassing. Like, so I think for some people, they'd be like, well, okay. Like, but if I say no to that, then what would I do? Like, just more responsible stuff? Or like, what do I actually do that I love? You know? And I think people might need to go explore.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the self-care could come in, like taking an hour or half hour out of your day and just contemplating and sitting quietly and putting some time for yourself. Yeah. If you're feeling a little lost, or you don't know what you like anymore because you've been saying yes to other people's desires or what they like, it's a good idea to date yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Go find those things that you enjoy doing and nurture your soul that way.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you see any of this kind of, let's call it stress, because I think living outside of loving yourself can produce stress in your body, right? Like, because there's just, you're shouldering all of this responsibility and expectation and all that. Do you see that in patients when they come to visit you for massage? Like, do you see how that shows up physically in people's bodies?
Well, I mean, it can come in the form of stress. So we'll take the job for an example. Sure. If somebody is in a job and it's not fulfilling, it can create a lot of conflict within them and stress. Yeah. And that stress will go, for different people, will go to different areas of the body. Yeah. Some people know where they carry their stress. Other people don't. But sometimes people will grind their teeth at night because of the stress, which can cause, some pain in the jaw or even headaches. A lot of people like to carry their stress in their shoulders. I see that a lot. So it's kind of different for everyone where the stress sits. Yeah. But it is a real thing. You can physically, it does physically manifest in people.
Do different triggers show up, like different stressful situations show up in different parts of the body? Like, let's say my job creates a stress in one part of my body and maybe my family creates a stress in a different part. Do you know if that happens?
I mean, it could. I haven't researched that. I don't know how you would differentiate that.
I don't know either.
But I mean, if you're getting a massage and we're working on an area and maybe some emotions or images or thoughts pop up, then I could say that area of your body is maybe where you're storing that emotional, we'll call it trauma or emotional.
That's interesting.
So
I would think like if you started to notice, so much of this requires noticing and self-awareness, but if you notice before you go to a family event that you always get this headache, right? Or before work every morning, your stomach starts to just tighten up. I don't know. I would think like, I would imagine your body's always trying to communicate with you.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. I do remember right before I was called in to have a talk with my manager, right before they had fired me.
Yeah.
The feeling in the pit of my stomach was just so uncomfortable. I mean, it was my intuition telling me something was up. And I was thinking that they just wanted to talk to me about changing my hours, but my body knew, my intuition knew way before I did. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it was in the last episode, maybe, but you made this statement, or maybe it was in a conversation you and I had, but I love this thought that your moral of the story is that your inner health is the passageway to the life that you've wanted to create. Like the way that we take care of our own inner health. In other words, how do we show love for ourselves as part of that?
Right.
Is the passageway to the life that we've been wanting for ourselves, you know?
Right. Yeah. If you, like you said, if you don't have the courage to love yourself, and this is it's hard to connect the dots sometimes, but if you can't love yourself enough to put yourself first, and decide, I'm going to live my life the way I feel is right, then you're living somebody else's ideal. You're not living your true purpose, and you're missing out on creating something really great in this world. And you don't have to think of the world as like the huge wide world. You could think of it as in your family or just in your community. When you love yourself first and you're taking care of yourself, it allows you to show up for other people in ways that you didn't know you could.
Yeah. So strong. That is so strong. Oh, everybody has a life they want to live. Everybody has a life they're wanting to create. And the passageway is our ability to create health inside of us, our inner health. And part of that is, stopping the expectations and the responsibilities and all the ways that we are living out of alignment with what it is we actually really want. Because we're afraid.
Yeah.
We're afraid to say no. We're afraid to set boundaries. We're afraid of the implications of if I quit a job or quit a relationship or quit something, what that means. And it's just and I'm saying this not from somebody who's mastered any of it, right? I'm saying it from a place of seeing it. I get to see it all the time, and I'm in others and in myself. And just a really powerful inquiry that you're bringing up here. So I love it.
Yeah.
So
and how is it working for you currently? I mean, check in with, how is your life right now? I mean, is it spectacular, or is there things that you would like to change? And if it's not working this way, then maybe a different way would be, then what do you have to lose, really?
Yeah.
If your life isn't the way you want it to be right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And in that, you probably also could check in on different areas of life. Some areas of your life might be working amazingly well right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And other areas of your life, maybe not what you want them to be. And they're all open for inquiry, for investigation, to look. And I think you could probably, to your point about showing love for yourself, you could probably show love to yourself in the areas where you're not feeling great right now. If you're not feeling great in your body, show your body some love. If you're not feeling great in your thoughts and your thought process in a day, go to work on that. But find that spot that doesn't feel like it's working and show some love.
Right. Yes. Have some self-reflection and just sit with it and give yourself that space to just be for a little bit. Be uncomfortable for a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I want sort of in wrapping up, I think one of the coolest things about what you do professionally and the conversations that we're having is I really think that massage allows people to relax their mind and open their mind into some of these dialogues, right? To find new ways. When my mind opens up, I can actually start to think about things I would actually want to enjoy for myself, or parts of my life that aren't working that I'm willing to muster some courage for, right?
Right. When somebody creates a space for you to explore and have more awareness for yourself, whether that's a physical part of your body or you're tapping into the emotional part that you're feeling, or even the energetic part. When you have that space open to you, it's an invitation for you to walk through and to go deeper within yourself, and to have a chance to explore what might not be working in your life. I mean, you can make the session what you want it to be. You can go as deep as you want to go, and the choice is yours. And it's really cool to see the clients that take that step. And we don't really talk much about what they're thinking during the session, but it's just really cool how I think I pick it up energetically. It's like a conversation we're having without words. So
that's cool. That's so cool. Well, I love that you get to do that for people, and that you get to hold that space for them in their own inner health. So if people want to learn more about Hannah, how to work with you, and what it is that you do, like, where can they go?
Yeah, you can go to innerhealthproject.com, and you'll see the episodes and some blog posts on there. And then you can also like my YouTube channel. It's Elevate Us, and the Inner Health Project is on there, and you can watch all the episodes as well. So
awesome. Hannah, thank you for another great episode. In the next episode, we're actually talking about how to show love for others.
Yes.
How to actually go out there and actually make an impact in the world where we're showing love for others. So I'm excited to dive into that with you in the next episode. Until then, thanks for your time today.
Yep. Thanks, Chris.
See ya.